Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 59th episode of Don't Forget the Popcorn. Now, I'm not going to give you guys some crazy little intro like I normally do. Today, we're just going to jump right into what we're talking about. All right. Today, we are talking about the new Martin Scorsese movie, Killers of the Flower Moon. And I mean, everyone's been anticipating this film all year. Ever since pretty much we knew it was going to be made. Everyone was excited for it. It's an event. When Scorsese makes a film, it's an event, especially for cinephiles like me. Um, I love seeing Scorsese movies in theaters. I didn't see The Irishman in theaters, unfortunately. It was very limited screening, but I did see Wolf of Wall Street in theaters Christmas Day, and I was so hyped. I'm like, Scorsese back, let's go. And my God, man, it's always an event. It's always a great time. Scorsese he's one of the best filmmakers ever, arguably the best ever. A lot of people would argue, Kubrick or maybe a couple of international directors, but I personally am a huge Ingmar Bergman fan. He would be very high on my Mount Rushmore for directors. But Scorsese is easily in the conversation for one, two, and three. And I'm just so impressed at what he put in front of us for how old he is. And I think that Scorsese has proven that age really is just a number because you can do anything you want if you feel young and you keep your spirit. And this man at 80 years old is putting out the top level quality we can ask for a film. And I just can't thank him enough. I'm so grateful and appreciative that he is alive and he is here giving us these gems. And I just think everyone should take a minute and just, appreciate Scorsese for what he's done and how he's changed the landscape of filmmaking because he's done that over and over and over again. But let's talk about this movie. Okay. First things first, we got a crazy true story based on the book of the same name, which I haven't read. So, guys, I'm sorry. I know a lot of people have read it. I haven't read it. I'm very interested to read it now, but then again, a part of me isn't because I know the book is like an investigation type of book, and I know it focuses more on the inception of the bureau, as they were being made into the FBI. And it's interesting. You got J. Edgar Hoover was a big starter of this, and Leo, of course, played him too in a Clint Eastwood film about 10 years ago, or maybe a little more. Um, so the book itself is something I definitely would like to read, but it's not high on my list because I know it's not going to be like this film. And I think the magic of this film is that we didn't just get another investigation type of film where we just got these guys sitting around trying to figure something out. I actually love the direction Scorsese took in this. He gutted the script, ripped it inside out, and gave us something different than he originally wanted to. And Leo was on board, and everyone was on board. And I love the approach he took from the victims, and we got to know them a little bit better, and we got to feel their pain a little bit more, as opposed to just seeing them kind of be very secondary to everything that's going on here. So this film, I gotta say, before I even get into what it's about or anything like that, I'm not gonna spoil the movie. Okay, so don't worry. I'm not gonna give any major points away. I will, touch on a couple of things here and there, but I'm not gonna give away any major points because I want everyone to go in this, you know, and just be blown away like I was, because it was just incredible. So, um, this film here, it is about the murders of the Osage tribe back in the 1920s after they struck oil on their land, the black gold. Oil is one of the most valuable resources in the world. It was back then, and it still is to this day. If you own land and oil is on it, you did it. You made it. Congratulations. You have made it. So oil is the big thing, obviously. So these people here, these people are rich. We're talking rich, rich. Some of the richest people in the country at that time. And, it was really cool to see these Osage people riding around in dope cars, got expensive jewelry on, they look fresh, they're very Western and modernized, and it was just cool to see that because, when people think of natives, they tend to think of these very minimalist type of people, which, from throughout history, it seems like they are very minimalist type of people. They live off the land. They're very resourceful and very in tune group of individuals with the earth and with the world. They may be some of the most in tune people with the earth ever. But this was a different type of film, and we got to see these people depicted in a light that we never get to see. We got to see people we rarely get to see depicted at all in films. So I thought this was incredible. I thought this was great, and I thought it was great to shed light on people that we may not know that much about. And so this film, it follows the members of the Osage Native American tribe out in Oklahoma, and it's about the murders that are going on in the murders are going on because there are certain people who are greedy and want to take this land and get these head rights from these natives. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, this film, for me, it wasn't a tough watch at all. I was just glued. Okay, we all know about the runtime; it's 3.5 hours. And I know that's scaring a lot of people, but I'm gonna tell you right now, this movie flew by. It flew by. I sat in the theater. I did not move. I didn't even think I blinked. I didn't touch my phone. I didn't do anything. I was so invested in this film from the very first frame to the very last frame. And I just I was floored by the end. I was just blown away by what I was seeing. And this movie here is really a tale about greed. It's a tale about trust. It's a tale about justice. And I think it's a fine tale that Scorsese told here. And the fact that this stuff is true is just mind blowing. But we know it's good to watch these type of films because we need to understand our history. So in this movie, we have some leads. We have the great Leonardo DiCaprio, who plays Ernest Burkhart. We have the legendary GOAT, Robert De Niro, who plays William King Hale. And we have Lily Gladstone, who this is, I'm ashamed to admit this, but this is the first film I ever saw her in. And she plays Molly Burkhart. And, we'll get into the acting later. But just know this woman was incredible. But Leo's character, Ernest Burkhart, he comes into the Osage County to come and stay with his uncle after he's been released from the war. And, this is post World War I. And De Niro's character, his uncle, William Hale, he's kind of a friend to all these people, and all these people know and trust him, and he's a pillar in the town. He's almost like the mayor. And he has a lot of power, control, a lot of land, and a lot of money. And he just wants more and more. And Leonardo's character ends up driving Molly Burkhart, Lily Gladstone's character. He ends up driving her, and they do form a relationship and end up getting married. And after they get married, William Hale, Robert De Niro's character, his interest is in her family and all their land, and he wants all the rights to stay within the family so the money is flowing through to them and not to the Osage people. And I'm going to tell you right now, this De Niro's performance in this movie is absolutely bone chilling. This is the most villainous role he's played. I don't care about no Max Cady. I don't care about none of that. This is the darkest and scariest character he's ever played. And it's not because he's necessarily doing anything scary. It's just, this man is pure evil from the inside out. And De Niro gives us a performance for the ages, guys. A performance for the ages. So this movie, as it runs on, we are seeing so much death, so much destruction, so much betrayal, so much greed. We are seeing all the worst things that can make up a human being in this runtime. So I can understand why this can be a tough and daunting watch for some. But for me, I don't know if it's because I'm so desensitized to murder because I've just seen so many movies and it didn't bother me at all seeing this stuff happen. What bothered me was knowing that this actually happened and seeing these people suffer. It wasn't how they were suffering, it was just knowing they were suffering, and they don't deserve it. These were some of the most trusting, giving people, and this movie just kinda shows you that we can't be friends with everyone. You can't trust everyone, and a lot of times you have to do things for self. But the beauty that I think lies in this film is despite all of this going on, despite Leonardo's character, Ernest Burkhart, a lot of people are going to struggle with his character as far as whether they can morally agree with him or not, whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. I mean, in my opinion, he is terrible, but I think a lot of people empathize with this character because this movie is centered around a beautiful love story between Leonardo DiCaprio and Lily Gladstone, who play Ernest and Molly Burkhart, respectively. And these two have a chemistry that is just off the charts. And it really makes you question everything about love, about relationships, and about the people around you. And I think this film tackles so many themes so beautifully and themes that currently relate to life. This film is, although this is a tale that's taken place 100 years ago, it's like, wow. It's like this is still a lot of these themes are just still so relevant to today. And I just think Scorsese crafted a story in a film that just it encompasses almost everything about life all in one. And I know it may not seem that way upon first watching. I've only seen it once as well, but it may not seem that way. But I could not stop thinking about this film after I watched it. I watched this film and it was on my mind all that night, all the next day, and it's still on my mind currently as I'm speaking about it. And I can't get enough of discussing it, reading about it, listening to videos about it. It's just a monumental achievement in film at this point in the history of film. And this film just proves that a great filmmaker will get some butts in the seats. My theater was packed. My theater was packed, and I was so glad it was because it just showed that people still care about these kinds of stories and movies. And these are the stories and movies that we need to be making. This is the type of film that's going to save Hollywood. We don't need more Marvel films. We don't need more superhero action films. We need more films like this. And I will say that this film, it has so much richness to it in so many ways. I will warn people that this film is going to break you down as you're seeing events go on and you're seeing betrayal and you're questioning everyone around and you're questioning the morals of the people around and whether or not these people can be trusted. But I promise you, after you see all this destruction, the ending is so very satisfying. And of course, we get this is a real story. So I will say this in the end. I will tell you guys this is one baby spoiler. In the end, we get a 1920 style like radio show with our lovely man Marty giving us some beautiful narration. And they're telling the story of how this turned out. And it may frustrate some people as to how some of the criminals in this were apprehended. But I mean, it's true. And this just shows you how history is. And this film shows you why a lot of things today are why they are the way they are. And like I said, I couldn't get enough. I couldn't get enough. The runtime, I know that's all everyone's talking about here. But I'm like, guys, maybe it's just me. I'll watch a film like Lawrence of Arabia, a couple times a year. I don't care. I'll watch a 3.5, 4 hour movie. I watched Satan Tango, a Hungarian film, and that thing is 7.5 hours long. So I have no problems watching long films. I know other people who don't watch movies a lot may have an issue with this. I watch 6 movies in a row on Wednesday nights, guys, so this doesn't bother me at all. So if you're gonna go see this in theater, I will warn you, this is not a film you wanna get up for. You don't wanna go to the bathroom. You don't want to do that. So make sure you go before you leave the house. Make sure you go as soon as you get to the theater, and be very selective when you take your sips of your drinks, okay? Because I think this is a film you don't wanna have to miss a minute of. Could this runtime be cut down? Yes, it could have been. But I will say you can't cut it more than maybe 15 to 20 minutes. I think you can get this at most to 3 hours, but there are some things in the beginning that could be trimmed down to save time, but you have to just ride with an artist like this. You have to just ride with someone like Scorsese, and you have to just take in what they're giving you. You can't complain about it. You have to just take it in. Watch it all and then have your complaints, but you have to go into it and just accept the challenge. So don't be afraid of the runtime. It's fine. Now let's talk about some other things in the film. The cinematography in this movie, it's a Western. This is Scorsese's really his first Western. This is a Western. It's more of like a revisionist type Western. Actually, no, I guess not. It's not your traditional Western, but it's definitely a Western, through and through. And it's got some beautiful shots in it. It's got some great camera work. I was very impressed with the DP of this film. And there's certain things in it where there's certain characters out of focus in certain frames, and there's some weirdness to it. But I actually found that quite charming. I think added to the film in a lot of ways, where a lot of people might see it as a mistake or as errors or something that they didn't get right. I actually think the opposite. I think it actually enriched the film. The cinematography was good. I was very impressed by what I was seeing. This great landscape. It was beautiful. And like one of the best shot scenes is at the very beginning when they strike the black gold and the Osage people are running through it, and this oil is just spilling on them. It's one of the coolest scenes that I've seen in a movie all year. And I knew I was in for a good time right off the rip. And it's beautiful. And as we're talking about the cinematography, we have to talk about something I think they even did better than the cinematography, and that is the score. The score to this film was perfect. It really, really pushed the film along and intensified just perfectly with each passing of someone around. And the score really it kept me on the edge. It really added a layer of suspense to this film that I think really kept you invested and engaged. I just I couldn't help but just, find myself, just really paying close attention to the score in this. And, you know, um, the last score I really, really liked this year was probably Oppenheimer. And although I think that score may be better, I think the use of this score in Killers of the Flower Moon is better. So pay attention to the music when you're watching this. It is brilliant. It is brilliant. And aside from the filmmaking techniques and all that, the meat of this comes down to two things, okay? And these two things needed to work in order for this film to work, and that is Martin Scorsese's direction and our three lead actors, okay? Martin Scorsese, he is still doing this like he's 35, 40 years old. It seems like he hasn't missed a beat. It seems like he's still very, very in touch with everything that's going on in the current state of film, everything that's going on in the current state of the world. Marty feels like a guy who keeps himself very informed, and I think it shows all throughout this film. And without if someone else directed this, this movie could have been a slog. This movie could have been full of issues. It could have it could have been a nightmare. And because this is a very, very ambitious project, this is something tough to tackle. And I have to give nothing but the utmost respect to Scorsese for committing to this and really putting his all into it at his age after so much success to tell this story. And I think the fact that he cared so much about this story and cared so much about these people and sat down with these people and interviewed them and spent real time with them and got to know them really, really shines through this film, and it really makes it work so much better than I think if any other director would have done this movie. I can't think of one living director right now that I would trust to make this film as good as Marty. Not one. I'm sorry, guys, not one. But along with that, Marty brilliantly directs these actors, man. Let's just go ahead and talk about the lead. Leonardo DiCaprio. Dude's been in the game since the early 90s. He's given us incredible performance after incredible performance over and over again. But I have to say, this performance of his, I think this is one of his best performances. I'm going to be honest. This, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Rick Dalton, these two characters, although very, very different, I think these are the type of characters that suit Leonardo the best, where he is vulnerable, where he's unsure, where he's not confident, where he is kind of the butt of the joke sometimes. I think he relishes in roles like this, and I think he really shines and just really makes us feel like he's a human. Because Leonardo has been famous for so long. Leo is one of them guys you feel like is just this untouchable god type of guy. But this movie made him feel like a guy you could have a beer with. And his performance in this, he knocked it out of the park. He plays this very kind of small-minded and unsure and very naive and very gullible character, yet he's so loving and he does care. He does care, although he makes tons of mistakes, and some of the things he does are deplorable in this film, and I just can't condone him or endorse him. I still think he brought a charm to this role that maybe no other actor could. I can't think the only other actor I think that could have pulled this role off as well as him is maybe Christian Bale, another great actor that I absolutely adore. I think Christian Bale maybe been the only other person who could have pulled this role off correctly. But Leo is obviously going to be in talk for an Oscar nom on this one. Best actor. I mean, if he doesn't get a nom, I would be. It's almost like a 99.9% sure he's going to get the nom. I do still think Cillian Murphy will win. As of right now, I do still think Cillian Murphy will win Best Actor, but I will tell you right now, Leo gave this man a very big run for his money, and I was just thoroughly impressed with him, as I've been with him for my whole life. Been watching this guy since I was a very, very young child. Let's talk about one of my all-time favorite actors, the man, the myth, the legend, Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro plays William Hale, and he is Leonardo's uncle. And like I discussed earlier, he's a big part of the town, and he has done a lot of things to actually make this town thrive and bring these people into the current state of the world. But my lord, De Niro, this is probably De Niro's best performance since maybe the mid 90s, maybe since Casino, maybe Heat. And I'm not kidding. I mean, this is his best performance in almost 20 years. And he's had a lot of great performances since then. I mean, a lot of people argue Silver Linings he had a great performance in, which he was good in. I just don't like that movie that much. And he was great in The Irishman, but I mean, he blows his Irishman performance out of the water in this. I mean, Al Pacino kind of stole the show in that movie, but I think De Niro kind of stole the show in this one. First of all, he had a lot more screen time than I expected. Second, he delivers this very subdued yet in your face performance all at the same time, which he's so charming and likable, yet he is completely despicable. And it's like you're watching a man we've known and loved for years play this type of role, and you're like, I've never wanted to freaking strangle Robert De Niro so much in my life. This is one of the best villainous performances we've seen maybe since Denzel in Training Day. Robert De Niro in this movie is bone chilling. And you know why he's bone chilling? Because he's a guy that all he has to do is point his fingers and open his mouth to make things happen. And those are some of the scariest people because those people have so much power. And when people have power, they have control. And when people have control, they can go overboard with it and get greedy. And De Niro in this film shows us exactly the epitome of a greedy opportunist who is willing to do anything, step on anyone. And when I say anyone, I mean anyone to get what he wants. And I think a Best Supporting Actor nomination is absolutely in order. I don't see how he doesn't get it. I've heard a few people say he may even get Best Actor because of the amount of screen time he had. He did have a lot of screen time. I was like, wow, he's really in this film. And he's another one of his age. It's like what time has gone by? He's still cranking this out like it's nothing. He's still cranking this out like it's 1992, 3, and he's in his 40s still going hard. It's insane. So Robert De Niro, I will say, I think he deserves the Best Supporting Actor over Robert Downey Jr. and Oppenheimer. And I know there's some conversations that my man Ryan Gosling could get, maybe sneak in for Ken, which I would love to see him get nominated because I thought he was incredible in that film. But I think this year, to cap this man's legacy, and because let's keep it, we may not ever see another really big role like this from De Niro again. This could be the last major role we see from him like this. I think that's highly likely. And I think this would just be the perfect legacy punctuation mark to hand this man that gold statue on Oscar night for this performance. But let's talk about one more character, and her name is Lily Gladstone. And Lily Gladstone really is the absolute star of the show. She steals this movie, and she goes toe to toe, fists in the air with these heavyweights like Leonardo and Robert De Niro, two guys who are considered absolutely the best at what they do. And she comes in and just, man, she blew me off the screen. And it's a nice, subtle, relaxing, calm, subdued performance. And Molly in this movie, Lily Gladstone, Molly is like the sun, and we all just rotate around her, and she draws us all in. She's the heat. She's just stunning. She's beautiful on the screen. She's beautiful in the way she carries herself. Her character is the most loving, sweetest. Just I I couldn't imagine meeting someone like this in real life. This woman just radiates. She radiates off the screen. And as this movie goes on, she goes through things, and you just feel with this woman, and you feel for this woman, and you just want to give this woman a hug and tell her it's going to be okay, even though we know it's not. And I was just appalled at this woman and what I've seen. Like I said, I've never seen this woman before in anything. This is the first time I'm seeing her perform, and I can't wait to see her in other things. I really hope that directors are already giving her a call for wanting to do their movie with her. I gotta say, if this woman doesn't win Best Actress, I'm gonna be really disappointed. Um, this is a performance for the books. This is an all-time performance. And you guys will fully understand what I mean when you watch this film, or if you've seen this film, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I I I couldn't keep my eyes off of her. And it's like when you're watching her and Leo in scenes, you're like, who do I look at? You know? I found myself more drawn to her than any character in this film. She was absolutely incredible. But this film here does not work without the commitment from these actors, without the commitment from Marty. Everyone bought in 1,000%, and you can tell in this movie. Everyone. And it was just beautiful. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Um, and the historical context of this film, and to know this is true, and to see the early inception of the FBI, or just the bureau at that point, the Bureau of Investigation. It's really cool to see. This is one of the best history lessons I've got through a film in a while. Um, and it just feels so authentic. It feels like Scorsese really did his homework, took his time, and made this the best thing that he could make for us as viewers, out of the respect for the Osage tribe and out of the respect for history. I just can't thank this guy enough. So very grateful to have him. Um, Scorsese's legacy, it's locked in. He's he's the man. And if this is his last movie, what a hell of a way to go out. I got nothing but great things to say about this movie. There was a lot of things, okay, there's some criticisms. I won't say it's a perfect film. There's some things that could be better fleshed out, better explained. There was a lot of people we saw die that at the time when you see him die didn't really seem to have any weight. There was a lot of people we weren't clear on what was happening at certain parts, but everything comes together and everything is explained. There was a lot going on in this film. It's a very ambitious project, and it may be a lot for certain people, but I really don't have many criticisms of this movie. I'm very excited to watch it again. I personally think it's probably the best movie of the year. This Oppenheimer, Barbie, um, there's some Spider-Man, but this film is just it's knocked the pants off of almost everything else this year. What a great birthday gift to myself, to see this film in theaters on the big screen with a packed house and everybody fully engaged in it. Um, Scorsese, we love you, man. We all love you. We thank you so much for what you have brought to us. Guys, make sure you go see Killers of the Flower Moon in theaters. Okay? Don't wait for it to hit streaming. Support these types of films so more of these films get made. Guys, watch it in theaters. It's nothing like seeing something like this on the big screen, this big epic Western landscape. It was crazy, guys. So, with that said, I'm gonna score this film. And I don't want to. I know this sounds like recency bias, but and it may damn well be. I could watch this movie again and not take as much away from it the next time. But I have to give Killers of the Flower Moon a 9.3 out of 10. Guys, I appreciate you so much for watching my Killers of the Flower Moon review. Please go check it out for yourself. If you've seen the film, please comment down below and tell me what you thought. Tell me how you felt about it, how it made you feel, you know, and I hope you guys really just take my advice and go see this in theaters. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'd appreciate that. It helps me out a lot. And guys, if there's a film or a topic you want me to go over or review, just let me know and I'll do it for you. I have no problems with it. Guys, I will be back next week. And don't forget the popcorn.